And Minister, can I say I'm glad we've had this opportunity, and I know we are talking about a national framework plan, but I'm going to be parochial about it and I'm going to make no apology about it, because I have a diagram here just in front of me which shows our motorways across this island of Ireland, and it makes for very poor reading for counties like Cavan and Monaghan that have certainly lagged behind when it comes to motorways and infrastructures. There are so many issues that need to be addressed, but particularly for rural Ireland and particularly for border counties such as Cavan and Monaghan. We face many challenges, for example, depopulation in West Cavan, deficiencies in broadband right throughout the constituency, deficiencies in the road networks, and an absolute need to open the Ulster Canal, and the potential that that has for the tourism in the border region. After listening to my colleague here, Mary Butler, I'm almost jealous of the fantastic way she has displayed Waterford here today. I'm afraid we'd be less than the bridesmaid in terms of the type of tourism facilities she talked about there, just down to the pure lack of investment. Firstly, can I point out the access to County Cavan is abysmal. The M3 ends at the Cavan-Meath border, and I don't need to tell you that, Minister. You know yourself. We did well in the time of Minister Noel Dempsey. He was phenomenal in terms of leading the charge on that motorway, but unfortunately it ended at the Cavan border. And it is like that we are the forgotten county. We have no motorway into Cavan town. We have continuous traffic congestion in Virginia, which is stifling the growth of the business throughout the county and does not provide the infrastructure that is so badly needed to encourage businesses throughout. And I would have to say speaks volumes in terms of the political will to invest in County Cavan. We are all the time being told by the IDA that we do not have the infrastructure in place to attract what foreign companies are looking for when it comes to considering a location to invest in. And of course, that is evident in the number of IDA visits that we have to both Cavan and Monaghan on an annual basis. You're talking single-figure numbers. It could be 1, 2, perhaps 3 at most in terms of annual visits from IDA companies to Cavan or Monaghan. The N2. We need motorway status for the N2. We've seen far too many road fatalities, and we need to see it upgraded to motorway status. And more than ever, there is a very strong case now for the A5 N2 project. This project has the potential to unlock future potential for economic development of Cavan and Monaghan, creating an immediate burst in employment with an estimated 1,000 jobs in the construction sector. The East-West Link motorway is stuck at a design stage. We need to see real action, a real commitment to putting funding in place for the East-West Link corridor, which is critical when we are considering the motorways in Ireland, which from the visual aid I have here with me today clearly sets out that all motorways leaving Dublin go to Waterford, Cork, Limerick and Galway. And when you stop at Galway City and you look at this map, you see that from Galway right across the northwest, right up to Belfast, there is not one motorway in sight. We are completely the forgotten half of this island. It would take very little in the grand scheme of things to invest in a motorway to Cavan town or to Monaghan town and bring some fairness and equity to the people living in the northwest. The NPF must take a balanced regional perspective on the future development of this country. This means developing economic counterweights in increasing dominance of Dublin. In applied terms, the aim of the NPF should be to enable growth across all regions while reducing regional disparities. While there have been criticisms of some of the concept of a balanced regional development as being too diffused, we believe that the concept of reducing regional economic disparities while not hindering across the nation growth is well defined and measurable. In practice, it means achieving growth in all areas by attempting to reduce the share of national growth concentrated in the high-growth areas such as the Greater Dublin area. And I'm quite serious when I talk about regions like West Cavan, where we've seen an absolute brain drain from West Cavan. No young people living there. They've got no broadband. They've got no road access, and that particular issue within counties of depopulation must seriously be looked at, and West Cavan seriously considered when we are considering all of that. Brexit further underlines the importance of developing an all-Ireland approach to a long-term planning. The island is acutely exposed to the hard edge of Brexit and needs to be able to work together to mitigate its worst ramifications. The NPF must work in tandem with the Regional Development Strategy 2035, which charts out the path forward for Northern Ireland. Aligning with the spatial plans for Northern Ireland and utilising the institutional frame established by the Good Friday Agreement and subsequent documents will be vital to fully leveraging the overall potential for the whole island. The decision by Britain to exit the EU has consequences. Consequences for the flow of goods, consequences for services, consequences for people on the island, between what would be a member state and a non-EU member state. The debate and the discussions in relation to the impact of Brexit on the island focuses on border arrangements that might be introduced as a consequence. Traffic going across the border need good access points, and there is a real opportunity here, both with the N2A5 project and by continuing the M3 Motorway. Minister, please don't miss this opportunity for a balanced regional development. I implore you to make decisions that positively discriminate for rural Ireland and stop a growing two-tier system. The NPF should set out to strike a balance between delivering a strategic plan for Ireland over the next 20 years, while also fostering the potential of places and the ambition of people. Central to achieving this balance is the political will and ownership at both local, regional and national level to allow places of varying size to complement each other rather than to compete against each other. The national planning framework will mean little if it is not backed up by a coordinated capital investment and implementation across each tier of governance from local government upwards. Aspirations for broadening out population increases and economic growth will only be achieved through a holistic approach. We are calling on the National Infrastructure Commission and a clear hierarchy of plans to implement the NPF.
You to move the adjournment of the debate. We're moving on to questions.
Okay, I so move.
Thanks, Ahakta. And now it's time, I think, for